I'm going to demonstrate for you how to perform a technique which is very commonly used to help to decompact sutures. It's called the V-spread technique, and it's commonly used when we want to decompact the sagittal suture, remember, which is the suture that runs along the vault or the top of the head. It's the intersection point of the two parietals. When we're performing this technique, our goal is to help decompact the suture, to open it up and to allow the areas underneath the meninges and the blood flow to be able to better pass, and also to allow the adjacent bones to be able to move more properly as well. So we know there are many advantages to decompacting a suture. I'm going to demonstrate for you how to do it along the sagittal suture. Now remember, the sagittal suture has an intersection point at the front where it meets the frontal bone, and this is our coronal suture, remember? And so that intersection point where the frontal meets the two parietals is going to be the area where we're going to place our fingers and start right there. So in other words, we want to be just posterior to the coronal suture and make sure that we're on either side of the parietals. Go ahead and take some time now just to ensure that you have found that area. Think of it as a T intersection point, and you're going to be resting your thumbs on either side of the sagittal suture and just posterior to the coronal suture. Our hand placement is going to be like this. In this position, what we're doing is we're ensuring that our thumb, either thumb, is on either side or lateral to the actual suture, and that the palms of our hands and our fingers are resting very lightly on the parietal bones, right? So very lightly. We're not grasping and holding the head tight. We're just resting our thumbs, and our hands are resting loosely, very loosely on the parietal bones. Make sure when you place your hands that you don't have your hands encompassing the entire head. Since we're working to try to open up the vault and open up the sagittal suture and encourage free movement of the parietals, I would like that your hands would be resting in the area of the parietals. Now, when performing this technique, we can start in the front, the area where the frontal intersects with the parietals, or we can also start in the back, the area where the two parietals intersect with the occipital bone. So you might start from the front and work your way back, or you might start from the back and work your way forward. Regardless of which direction you work, that's up to your judgment, what you're more comfortable with, and also what your treatment goal might be. So now let me show you the hand placement. Your hands are going to be crossed at the thumb area like this, and the palms of your hands and your fingers are going to be somewhat curved and loose, as if you were cupping the parietal bones. So since the parietal bones are curved bones, your hands should be somewhat curved as well, and your thumbs should be crossed. Then we're going to make sure that we're placed in the right area, just behind the coronal suture and on either side of the sagittal suture. And we're going to be pressing in a crosswise and outward direction. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to decompact the suture by moving our thumbs this way. So as if we were trying to pry open the doors of an elevator. We're moving in a lateral outward direction with our thumbs. So the movement is going to be this way. We're going to start placing our fingers on either side, and we're going to push in an outward, downward direction, as if we were trying to pry apart the two bones at that area. Then you're going to move back about the width of your finger, your thumb, find another area, and we're going to do the same thing again, is we're going to be pushing outward and across with our thumbs, decompacting that area of the suture. Then we're going to move back one finger width, and we're going to do it again and again, all the way until we get to the back, where the parietal bone intersects with the occipital. Now mind you, it's not as easy to get back here and do it. There are other techniques that we can do to accomplish it, and very often, assuming we have palpated our suture beforehand, we might have found an area where it feels more compacted. Let's say the area where it is very compacted is just right along the vertex, or the very top, the vault of the head, which is often the case, just posterior to the frontal bone. If you slide your fingers along and just press down ever so slightly as a way to palpate, not too hard, because remember the suture and the connective tissue underneath has neural sensitivity, you might find an area of the suture that feels like it's a little bit pushed up. Rather than beveled flat, it's actually crossed up a little bit, and so it might feel a little bit more hardened and a little bit more pushed up under that area of your fingers. So this might be the area that you feel that you need to treat. So once again, we're going to cross our fingers on either side, and we're going to work in a rhythmic fashion, sliding across with our goal to try to decompact and open up that suture in that area. Later I'm going to show you how to do these techniques within the cranial rhythm. So there is also a way for you to work and do these techniques in a rhythmic fashion in order to take advantage of the time when the parietal bones come apart in extension and come apart back together again in flexion. But for now, you can do this technique simply at your own speed and rhythm. Do it in a slow fashion. You want to get to know what it feels like under your fingers to be pressing on those bones, and always to be trying to decompact them in a lateral opening crosswise direction. So this is the movement that we're trying to accomplish with our thumbs as we work our way across and all the way down along the suture. You can also start in the back and work your way forward. Just remember once again that we're following the suture, and we're going to stop at the area of the coronal suture where the two bones intersect with the frontal. Very good.